So I got kicked out of the homeless shelter, and I had nowhere else to go besides back to my father's house. So I walked back to the Arboretum, got the radioactive car, and I drove back to my dad's house. And as fate would have it, they had Cholitos for dinner at my dad's house. They had picked up some from a deli. And it kind of reminded me, this is what we eat in prison, and at the homeless shelter, and at the house of my father. So it was like the 22nd or 23rd of December 2012, and I was getting ready to drive up to New Hampshire to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with my wife and children. I left for New Hampshire Christmas Eve. And I stopped at a toy store and I picked up some toys for him. And my wife, she had been getting hit pretty hard too. She looked not too good. She had broken out with acne, and she was wearing a hat that was too small for her, and she looked like she was a little disoriented, and they were overworking her at her job, making her work a lot of unnecessary hours, and they even had her working Christmas Eve and Christmas Day because it snowed, and she works for a landscaping company. She had gone to school for horticulture. She is a stonemason. She's a tough woman, and she also was operating the plow. So since it was snowing Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, she drives up with the plow and her overalls, looking like she needed to take a break. I'm like, how many hours did you work this week? And she had been working 50 or 60 hours, if not more. And she's on salary. So they were really taking advantage of her. But the one way that she was dealing with the program was that just keeping herself busy by working. But I felt really terrible, and we had been going through a series of ups and downs for the past couple months before that. She was uncertain whether she wanted to stay with me or not, and I was trying to convince her that we need to stay together. We were good together, and our children need us to stay together. But I could tell why she was having so many second thoughts. She looked like she was barely holding it together. So I don't know how she, worked all those hours and was a good mom to our kids, which she was both, So we had a good visit. The one thing that I like to mention was that they were hitting her with the same thing they're hitting me with for a while, only that they were messing with her and trying to get her to basically become masculine. And at one point, I think it was Christmas Eve, we were in the hotel together, me, her, and the children, and her work called, and she says, I have to take this, and she walked into the bathroom to talk on the phone, and I could hear her through the door, and she was talking to her boss or something, and they said something on the other end of the phone, and her voice got extremely deep. They might have said something like, you're a boy, or butch, or some type of trigger. and her voice got extremely deep. I never heard her voice like that before. And it was like, it broke my heart to hear that they were doing this to her. But I hadn't seen her for a while. This was Christmas Eve, and my kids were there, so I didn't bring it up until like the next day. And I would always give her little hints, because she's a smart woman. And I'll be like, you know, they play little games in the agency with people. And I explained to her, they might throw a trigger out. Like say, to the guys, like, you're a girl, or you're a fag or something. And the guy will focus on that, and it will trigger him to, you know, become feminine or act feminine or something in that regard. So she knew what I was talking about, but she's a little less verbal than I am about it. But anyway, I took a lot of the demons and Dracs that had been bothering her out of her, and she looked a lot better the next day. And when I saw what they were doing, I made it a point to drive up there a lot more, because I had been kept busy at my job with the construction project, and it had taken a toll on our relationship. And the most important thing is to hold your family together and call as often as you can. You know, whatever your situation is, if you're separated from your family for whatever reason, make a point to call and just communicate. You know, make sure you're expressing whatever concerns or issues you might be having, because the agency will play all sorts of games with people. So it's very important to express to each other what's going on. So she started looking better, I'm happy to say, after we saw each other more. Just being around each other was good for both of us, you know. And she acted less like a tomboy, more like herself. And I made a point to go up there a lot more often. And so we got through December of 2012, but that was a rough one. And it went on, and it's still going on now, 13 months later. But that was December of 2012.